Decide whether each of the following is a qualitative or quantitative variable. First, let's take a look at what a variable is in statistics. A variable can be thought of as a placeholder, and that will be familiar from other math classes, a placeholder of an unknown or placeholder in a function where you change the value in it, and then change the value of the variable and it changes the value of the function. Specifically in statistics, we're talking about a placeholder of information. So whereas in other math classes, the variable is strictly numerical, in statistics, you can talk about a variable having a quality. So it can be qualitative or quantitative. And qualitative variable then would take down as information some quality. And this is not necessarily good or bad quality, but it is something that would place the subject, whether it's a person or a street or whatever information you're getting, you're placing that into a category. So oftentimes the qualitative variable will be referred to as a categorical variable. The quantitative, on the other hand, this keyword quantity, will help you to remember the difference between quantitative and qualitative. So quality, qualitative, quantity, quantitative. And quantity, that should make you think of a number, so numerical. So oftentimes a quantitative variable will be called numerical. So again, in stats, you can take this variable can hold information of things that are not numbers or things that are numbers. So for example, let's run through and pick out the qualitative variables. Height in inches. So you ask 100 people, what is your height? And each individual person will give you a number in inches, if that's what you asked for. And that's going to be a numerical. That's going to be your quantitative. However, hair color, you're talking about blonde or red or brunette or so on, or black hair. Well, those are categories. So we'll put that into the qualitative. Name, same thing. You can't say an average of a name. Oftentimes with quantitative, you have numbers and you can take the average of things, and I should say you always can, but you oftentimes want to. But with a name, you can't do that. It's just categories of names. Same thing with attractiveness, plain, cute, hot. These are just three different categories of someone's attractiveness, and that would be qualitative. Subjective, yes, but nonetheless, that would be qualitative variable. Now, attractiveness on a scale of 1 to 10, let's come back to that. That's quantitative because that's numerical. And you can say out of 50 people at a certain school, this is subjective, of course, but you're rating them on a scale of 1 to 10, and then you have an average score of someone's attractiveness. It sounds kind of like a bad thing to do, but just for the purposes of this example, we'll talk about the differences between qualitative and quantitative. Height, tall or short. Now, this is a category. So whereas in the first example, we were saying height in inches was quantitative, numerical. Now, if we just say, are you tall or short? Again, it's going to be tough. Where do you draw the line? But that is a category, so qualitative. Seat row in a stadium. Now, if this is kind of it's going to change. It's kind of like our attractiveness example, but I just left it wide open so that we could talk about it a little bit more. The seat row in a stadium, if you just talk about this as categories, like, hey, everyone in row 5 wins a prize, well, then that's categorical, and that is qualitative. However, if you do this seat row in a stadium and you say, I sit at the same stadium 10 different times during the season, and my average row, my average distance from the field, for example, is 5.8. Well, then you have taken the seat rows and made them numerical. And in that case, it would be quantitative. So it depends on how you want to define that one. And we see that with the attractiveness and the height in inches as well, that it depends on what information you actually want from that. Now, height in inches, that's numerical, clearly. So that is quantitative. What's left? Attractiveness, scale of 1 to 10. That is numerical, so that is also quantitative. And so there's just a few examples of qualitative and quantitative variables.